Seeing Xiao Yin walking forward without hesitation, Mu Feng shouted, "Xiao Yin, wait. This path seems strange. We should." "No need. I have a vague feeling that this is the right way," Xiao Yin replied calmly, continuing his pace. "I believe Mu Yingying and Little E feel it too, as if something at the top of the deserted mountain range is calling to us." He looked up, trying to peer through the dense mist toward the summit, but it was in vain. Both Mu Yingying and Little E nodded in agreement. "Let's go," Mu Feng said reluctantly, shaking his head before following Xiao Yin. "Is it just my imagination?" Mu Feng muttered to himself as he followed, but he couldn't help but notice a faint trace of evil aura emanating from Xiao Yin. Though subtle, it hadn't escaped his senses. Forget it. That feeling only appeared after the black beam vanished. It's probably just some lingering side effects from whatever special technique Xiao Yin used, Mu Feng reassured himself, finally putting his suspicions to rest. "Xiao Yin, how can you be so sure this path is the right one?" Lu Di asked, her green hair shifting like the snakes of Medusa as she spoke. "What if this is a dead end?" Because of this, Xiao Yin summoned his heavenly flame without any surprise at Lu Di's question. "A flame?" Lu Di asked in confusion. "Mu Yingying, Little E," Xiao Yin called out calmly. The two instantly understood, summoning their own flames. 3 spheres of flame hovered in the air before them. "Release them," Xiao Yin commanded. As the flames detached from their control, they shot forward along the winding path at astonishing speed. "Follow them," Xiao Yin said immediately. The others nodded in unison and quickly followed the flames. "So this is the deserted mountain range? It's truly vast," Mu Yingying remarked, her beautiful eyes scanning the endless forests and terrain along the twisting path as they moved swiftly. The landscape stretched as far as she could see, filled with forests as far as the eye could reach. "The flames are leading us up the mountain," Mu Feng muttered. Now that they had left the area where the frostmark heavenly tiger had fallen, he finally grasped the enormous scale of the deserted mountain range. The area he could see alone spanned thousands of kilometers, equivalent to a powerful empire in size. Why did they suddenly stop? Mu Feng wondered aloud as a towering mountain range appeared before them, its peaks rising into the sky. Perhaps this is the true deserted mountain range. "The forests we saw earlier were just the foothills," Xiao Yin murmured, his voice filled with awe as he gazed at the imposing mountain. The massive mountain was shrouded in thick, white mist, and even standing just tens of meters away, they could hardly detect it. Using spiritual senses was impossible. The mist blocked Do Qi and soul power alike, preventing any form of perception. "This is the true deserted mountain range?" Mu Yingying bit her lips slightly, her expression tense. "Xiao Yin, I trust you. Let's keep moving," she said after a brief pause. The others nodded, following her lead. "The deserted mountain range is isolated from the foothills," Xiao Yin said gravely. "In other words, there's a powerful restriction here. Once we enter, we won't be able to leave unless we reach the summit." The weight of his words hit the group hard, and they all felt a moment of shock. "Let's go." Despite the unease, none of them hesitated. Their eyes remained resolute as they pushed forward. "Let's see what secrets this deserted mountain range holds." Xiao Yin smiled confidently before striding into the massive mountain, his steps light but determined. With a soft whoosh, the group of 5 stepped into the white mist and crossed into the deserted mountain range. The moment they entered, an invisible pressure settled over them, as though something terrifying lurked deep within the mountains. "Ouch!" A cry of pain sounded suddenly. The group turned to see Mu Feng lying on the ground, his body covered in faint white mist, with small injuries from the fall visible on his skin. "Are you all right?" Lu Di hurried over to help him up. "I'm fine. I just wanted to see if this place is as strange as Xiao Yin said," Mu Feng chuckled, unfazed by the minor injuries. Though Mu Feng laughed it off, he couldn't help but raise his estimation of Xiao Yan's instincts. "Look, what's that?" Mu Yingying suddenly asked, her eyes scanning the area as she noticed a large stone in the distance. "Let's check it out," Xiao Yin responded, leading the group toward the stone. As they approached, they discovered 5 deep, dark caves behind the massive boulder. On the stone, An inscription stood out clearly. This is the deserted mountain range. 5 desolate paths, each leading its own way. Xiao Yin read the inscription aloud, but after a moment, his expression changed. Wait, something's wrong, he shouted, his soul power surging out to protect the others. The stone exuded an ominous and mysterious power, and Xiao Yin could feel it. What's going on? The others asked, confused, except for little E, who had an inkling of what might be happening. Retreat, Xiao Yin commanded, but before he could act, it was too late. 5 tendrils of white mist suddenly appeared from the stone, each filled with unfathomable energy. The mist immediately separated Xiao Yin and his companions, isolating each of them, each to their fate. A long, ethereal voice echoed through the air as the mist coiled around the 5 of them, attaching itself to their bodies. Damn it! What is this? Mu Feng exclaimed as a wave of weakness washed over him the moment the white mist touched him. Before he could say anything else, the mist pulled him into one of the tunnels behind the stone. One by one, Lu Di, Mu Yingying, and Little E were also swept into separate tunnels, each disappearing into the dark passageways behind the stone. As Xiao Yin was pulled toward the central path by the mysterious power of the white mist, he found himself quickly whisked away. Once this was done, the mysterious white mist surrounding the stone gradually faded, but a faint trace of sinister black energy coiled at the base of the stone. I never expected this. Xiao Yin shook his head in frustration, feeling helpless at what had just occurred. He had seen the 5 paths behind the stone and should have been more cautious, but now it was too late. While Xiao Yin was lost in thought, he suddenly arrived at a completely unfamiliar place, led by the white mist. With a soft whoosh, the mist vanished from his body, gently lowering him down. Since the mist had blocked his senses, he hadn't been able to see anything, but as it dissipated, his perception returned. Where am I? Xiao Yin muttered, momentarily putting aside his concern for little E and the others. He reasoned that, while their strength as 5-star Do Dis wasn't overwhelming in the deserted mountain range, they should be able to protect themselves. Xiao Yin gathered his vast soul power, attempting to make sense of his surroundings. What greeted his gaze was a large lake, with Xiao Yin standing on an exquisitely crafted, square-shaped pavilion in its center. This white mist is too strong. My soul power can barely sense more than a few dozen meters around me, Xiao Yin remarked, shaking his head in surprise. Normally, his soul power was his greatest asset, but here, it seemed utterly suppressed, leaving him uneasy. Wait, there's no path here? Xiao Yin looked around and realized with shock that the pavilion had no visible paths leading away from it. Reacting quickly, Xiao Yin leaped from the pavilion, pushing off the structure for momentum. However, just as he left the pavilion, a crushing pressure, as if 1,000 tons, suddenly bore down on him. Not good, Xiao Yin exclaimed, realizing something was wrong. The moment he tried to fly away from the pavilion, a mysterious anti-flight force had kicked in, and Xiao Yan's body was dragged down, nearly plunging into the lake below. With quick reflexes, Xiao Yin lightly tapped his toe on the surface of the lake, using its tension to lift himself back into the pavilion. Phew! Xiao Yin exhaled as he returned to the pavilion, the invisible pressure immediately lifting once he was back inside. This place has an anti-flight restriction, Xiao Yin said, his voice thoughtful. While he could withstand the weight of the pressure with his current strength, the presence of the powerful restriction made it impossible for him to escape the pavilion. Old Dragon, Xiao Yin called out to the ancient ruler of heavenly flames for advice, perplexed by the situation. I knew you'd call for me, Long Yi responded with a hint of resignation as he manifested from the ruler. Appearing in his human form, Long Yi looked far more solid and vibrant than his former weakened dragon soul state. Clearly, the combination of residing within the ancient ruler of heavenly flames and Xiao Yan's continuous nurturing had restored much of Long Yi's strength. This place has incredibly powerful restrictions. Even I wouldn't be able to break through them, Long Yi remarked as he examined the pavilion and its surroundings. Old Dragon, where is this? I tried to leave by flying, but the moment I left the pavilion, the anti-flight restriction activated, and I nearly fell into the lake, Xiao explained. This is no ordinary place. Be cautious, Long Yi warned. I'd guess that even a Douxian level expert wouldn't fare well here. He then summoned a surge of fiery energy and directed it beyond the pavilion. Whoosh! The powerful flames Long Yi conjured touched the surface of the lake, creating gentle ripples across the otherwise calm waters, but nothing more. How is that possible? Xiao Yan's eyes widened in disbelief. Long Yi had used Dou Qi, but the space around the lake restricted even that. Xiao Yan's soul and mental powers were already severely limited in range, and now that Dou Qi itself was suppressed, it seemed impossible to take any meaningful action. What's the purpose of this pavilion? Xiao Yan thought aloud as Long Yi pondered the situation. This pavilion seems to cover an area of several hundred meters, but even with both my soul power and mental strength, I can't sense what's beyond the lake, Xiao Yan noted after a few moments of concentration. This place could be a treasure trove, Long Yi suggested thoughtfully. A treasure trove? Xiao Yan repeated, startled by the idea. It's not surprising that you don't know. The world is vast, and there are many strange things. Back in my younger days, I once heard of powerful human experts who secluded themselves in isolated, beautiful locations to live out their days. After they passed away, they would leave their wealth and knowledge behind for future generations, Long Yi explained. You're saying this is the resting place of a powerful expert? Xiao Yan frowned. If what Long Yi said was true, the expert who created this place must have been no ordinary figure. For even Long Yi to treat this place so seriously, it was likely that the expert's strength was on par with a Douxian. This place fits that description, Long Yi continued. Look at the lake. It seems calm, but danger lies beneath. And the silence here. It's deathly quiet, as if the place itself is dead. So you think this pavilion is just a trial to enter the expert's residence? Xiao Yan asked. Exactly. The anti-flight restriction and suppression of your soul and mental powers suggest that whoever created this place didn't want just anyone entering. The expert must have been incredibly formidable, Long Yi concluded. Xiao Yan's eyes narrowed as he stared at the lake beneath the pavilion. The water was dark and bottomless, and he couldn't tell what lay beneath its depths. This is truly strange, Xiao Yan murmured, remaining on high alert as he surveyed the area. The stone we saw when we entered mentioned the 5-tiered desolate path. I wonder which layer I'm on now, Xiao Yan mused. But after pondering it for a while, he gave up, unable to find an answer. I believe this is the 5th and final layer of the deserted mountain range, Long Yi suddenly announced. How could that be? Xiao Yan was shocked. He had only just passed through the first layer, where he obtained the magic core and essence blood tainted by evil aura. His heavenly flame had been drawn toward the mountain's peak, as if something there was calling to it. Yet now, Xiao Yan felt no such pull from within. Don't overthink it. I'm certain this is the 5th layer, though we're still some distance from the actual peak of the deserted mountain range, Long Yi reassured Xiao Yan. Now, instead of worrying about the bigger picture, focus on how to pass this trial, Long Yi said with a knowing smile, as if he had some insight into what was happening. You're right, Xiao Yan nodded, letting go of his other thoughts and turning his attention to the task at hand. This is the deserted mountain range. There's evil aura here, like that of the extraterritorial evil clan, and there's the anti-flight restriction, along with the suppression of soul and mental power. Xiao Yan muttered to himself as he sat down to contemplate the situation. His eyes turned toward the pavilion and the surface of the dark brown lake surrounding it. The water. After a few minutes of thought, Xiao Yan stood up, his gaze fixed on the murky surface of the lake. Condense. In the next moment, a flash of fire appeared in Xiao Yan's eyes. With a low shout, he pointed his finger forward, and a fierce flame condensed into a sharp beam at his fingertip. Go! Xiao Yan commanded, and the fire beam shot out from his hand, heading directly for the surface of the lake. Boom! As the flame shot forward, it started strong. But as soon as it left the protection of the pavilion, its speed and power rapidly diminished. The flame even began to wither, as if some oppressive force was bearing down on it. Hold on. Xiao Yan growled, his voice cold. He had no other options at the moment and could only rely on the flame beam. Fortunately, Xiao Yan's flame wasn't ordinary. It was a new flame born from the fusion of 23 different heavenly flames. Despite the heavy suppression, the flame held on. The flame beam finally plunged into the lake's surface. Unlike normal fire, it didn't extinguish but began to move through the water, spreading out and giving Xiao a view of what lay beneath the surface, as though it were his eyes. Nothing here. Nothing there either, Xiao murmured, keeping his focus. Wait, what's that? Just as Xiao was about to give up, a massive shadow appeared before the flame beam. A strange, unsettling sound came from the creature in the water, and before Xiao could react, the creature surged forward and swallowed the flame beam whole. Cough, cough. The sudden disappearance of the flame caused Xiao eyes to snap open, his expression grave. There really is something in the lake. Xiao gaze locked on the calm surface of the water. What is it? Longy asked, though he had already suspected something might be lurking in the lake. Hearing Xiao confirmation still surprised him. I don't know, but it's powerful. Far stronger than the Frostmark Heavenly Tiger, Xiao replied in a low voice. Something's happening. In the next moment, the water around the pavilion began to ripple violently, forming waves that spread outward. It's coming out, Xiao muttered, his entire body igniting with flames, which danced across his skin. Whoosh! Suddenly, a massive water column, tens of meters high, shot out of the lake, radiating terrifying killing intent. Without hesitation, it surged toward Xiao, moving with lethal precision. Flame-splitting sea-devouring ruler. Xiao responded immediately, his ancient ruler of heavenly flames glowing brilliantly as he unleashed a terrifying Do technique. Boom, boom, boom. The powerful ruler strike collided with the water column. However, instead of a fierce explosion, the two forces neutralized each other, disappearing as if water had simply doused a flame, without even creating ripples. It's not just the creature in the lake that's strange. This water is unusual as well, Xiao muttered after the brief exchange. Despite his 5-star Do-D strength, he couldn't even stir the lake surface. The attack from the water column, though it seemed casual, felt as dangerous as a bottomless abyss. Show yourself, Xiao called out coldly, stopping himself just as he was about to leap out of the pavilion. He remembered the anti-flight restriction and instead stood his ground, his ancient ruler of heavenly flames ablaze, as he pointed it toward the swirling water vortex a few meters away. Human, you don't belong here. A haughty voice suddenly boomed from within the vortex. Everyone who enters this place will die. I have no intention of offending anyone. My entry here was purely accidental, Xiao responded calmly. The voice from the vortex sent a wave of dizziness through Xiao mind, something that shocked him deeply. As a 5-star Do-D with peak Emperor-level soul power, very few beings on the Do-D continent had ever made him feel like this. Don't think I don't know what you humans are after, the voice growled. This is our master's resting place. Every human who comes here covets the master's treasures, so you must die. The voice was full of disdain and anger, though it lacked the overwhelming pressure of its earlier statement, merely filling Xiao with slight fear now instead of the previous dizzying sensation. Senior, you misunderstand. I only ended up here by chance after being trapped by a stone in the deserted mountain range, Xiao said steadily. By chance, you say? What nonsense! The creature in the vortex scoffed. The barrier around the deserted mountain range is terrifying, stronger than anything a mere 6-star Do-D could break through. And this is the topmost layer. You, a mere 5-star Do-D, shouldn't even be here. And that stone? You claim it brought you here? Don't make me laugh. That's the guiding stone of the deserted mountain range, a rare and ancient artifact. There's no way you just stumbled upon it. The voice dripped with disdain. You're a liar, and you can't be allowed to live. No, don't kill him so easily. It's been so long since we've had a visitor. Let's have some fun with him first. A childish, dissatisfied voice suddenly interrupted from the vortex, revealing a disagreement among the beings within. Enough. Listen to me. The deep voice roared, and the childish one immediately fell silent. Boy, do you choose to fall here of your own accord, or will I kill you myself? The deep voice asked impatiently from the vortex. What if I say no to both? Xiao responded with a smile, having already deduced what kind of creature he was facing. Boy, are you seeking death? The vortex roared in fury. What if I told you I have a way to free you from the shackles of this lake? Xiao replied calmly, his voice tinged with intrigue. In exchange, you will tell me everything about this place and lead me to the master's lair, Xiao said, smiling slowly, the corners of his mouth curling into an especially bright grin. What did you say? Came a shocked cry, abruptly rising from the swirling vortex on the water's surface. Just as I said, Xiao replied calmly. Although he didn't know exactly why, Xiao, relying on his vast spiritual power and intuition, vaguely sensed that this mysterious creature didn't belong here. That earlier conversation only confirmed his suspicion, leading to his next move. As for Long Yi, he had already retreated into the ancient ruler of heavenly flames. Long Yi had said that, while he was the spirit of the ancient ruler, Xiao current strength was too weak to fully unleash his power. And, as a member of the Dragon Clan, Long Yi certainly wouldn't serve Xiao in trivial matters. Moreover, before going into seclusion, the Golden Dragon King had instructed Long Yi not to intervene unless absolutely necessary. An unpolished jade can't be made into a fine tool. Boy, do you even know what you're saying? The vortex in the water suddenly roared, the deep voice sending waves of dizziness crashing over Xiao. Despite the overwhelming dizziness, Xiao gaze remained fixed on the vortex. Inside the vortex, the space seemed to tremble ever so slightly. It wasn't the usual tremor of fear, but a rare excitement. Can you really? A childish voice softly muttered from within the vortex. Shut up. The deep voice thundered once more. Nameless boy, stop spouting nonsense. Let me tear you to pieces first. As soon as the words fell, the water in the vortex surged violently. A massive figure, at least tens of meters long, suddenly appeared before Xiao. This is a three-headed water spirit serpent? Xiao gasped in shock. The three-headed water spirit serpent was an incredibly terrifying existence. While not as powerful as the sky-devouring python, it was still an exceptionally rare and deadly magical beast. The serpent had 3 heads, each functioning independently, yet together they formed one entity. Its attributes and personalities differed between the heads, but it could easily cause mountains to crumble with a single movement. Though the introduction was brief, Xiao heart was filled with shock. He looked down at the massive serpent body slowly emerging from the water. Its dazzling scales were so imposing that, with his current strength, trying to breach them in a short time was nothing but a fantasy. As the enormous body rose, 3 heads gradually appeared. Each of the serpent's heads was its own life force, and the power of the serpent was differentiated by the markings on those heads. A single green stripe represented the strength of a 1-star Do-D. Upon closer inspection, Xiao could see that the most ferocious head in the middle bore 7 green stripes, with even the faint outline of an 8th beginning to take shape. It was the equivalent of a human 7-star Do-D at its peak, possibly even approaching the early stages of an 8-star Do-D. The beautiful, youthful snake head on the right also bore 7 green stripes, making it another terrifying entity on par with the human 7-star Do-D. However, the leftmost head had its eyes tightly shut, as if devoid of any life force. Boy, prepare to die. The ferocious head in the center hissed, flicking its tongue before speaking in human words. As soon as it finished speaking, the enormous body twisted violently and shot toward Xiao position with explosive speed. Watch out, you're about to crash, the youthful head on the right warned, but before she could finish, the massive body suddenly shifted. Boom, boom, boom. As the central head controlled the serpent's charge toward Xiao, he stood his ground at the edge of the pavilion without flinching. In the next moment, the fierce serpent head crashed into an invisible barrier just a meter away from Xiao. Boy! The air expelled from the snake's nostrils was clearly visible, but with the mysterious protection of the pavilion, the 3-headed water spirit serpent was left frustrated. Looks like I was right, Xiao said calmly, watching the scene unfold. Boy, you're brave, but... The central head's voice trailed off as its mouth began to utter strange incantations. As it chanted, Xiao Yin could clearly feel the mysterious power surrounding the pavilion being slowly siphoned away. Once the protective barrier around the pavilion vanished, Xiao Yin would face not just one but two deadly enemies. One a powerful early-stage 8-star Do D, and the other a formidable 7-star Do D. Damn it! Xiao Yin cursed under his breath, gripping the ancient ruler of heavenly flames tightly as it began to glow with even greater power. Human, you better watch out. The youthful voice from the serpent echoed again. My big brother plans to drain the protective power of this pavilion. Once it's gone, you'll be on your own. Don't worry, my brother's strength isn't that strong. He's only at mid-stage 8-star Do D for you humans. The young serpent voice said, almost playfully. Humph. The ferocious head snorted in response. All right, I'll stop talking. I don't want to make Big Brother angry, the youthful voice said, sounding aggrieved. Damn it! Xiao Yin cursed again. He had no idea what these three-headed water spirit serpents were planning. Are they crazy? Xiao Yin thought in frustration. From what I sense, they're clearly imprisoned here. Their aura doesn't belong to this place, even after so many years. My request isn't unreasonable, so why are they acting like I'm their mortal enemy, growing more hostile by the second? I can't wait any longer. In the next moment, Xiao Yin could feel the protective power of the pavilion rapidly fading. If it fully disappeared, he would be left facing two incredibly deadly foes. Grand heavenly creation palm, Xiao Yin roared, unleashing a massive energy handprint that slammed into the enormous body of the three-headed water spirit serpent. Thud. Though the attack appeared powerful, it landed on the serpent's body as if merely scratching an itch. Idiot. The three-headed water spirit serpent is water-aligned. Water has a soft attribute, making its defense incredibly strong, second only to earth, the youthful voice mocked. To truly harm us, you'd need at least an immortal class technique. Your low-level heaven class skills are nothing but garbage. A giggle came from the young voice. Is that so? Xiao Yin muttered, his heart sinking. He quickly tossed the ancient ruler of heavenly flames into the air, while the soul-devouring talisman in his hand flickered with a wisp of black energy, which soon entered the ruler. Roar! Long E, now in the form of a dragon spirit, coiled around the ancient ruler, absorbing the strange black energy into his mouth. Dragon breath. With a mighty roar, Long E unleashed an attack from the ancient ruler, aiming straight at the three-headed water spirit serpent. Intense flames mixed with a trace of black energy shot out in an instant, hurtling toward the three-headed water spirit serpent just a few meters away.